race gets underway for 20 minutes. It's a good start by Paul Cook from the outside of the front row. He's got into the lead of the race there from Graham Crowhurst in second place, but there's some smoke already emitting from the back of his car. And then you've got Wayne Lewis up on the inside of Lee Pearcey there, up to third place overall, but they're in different classes. It's very wide, 3 wide. A bit further back, Ivor Mayers is right in the thick of that in the 316 car. He's in one of the Cup class cars. As the cars filter through Church, that's Dan Harborough, followed by Jim Benson going through in 5th and 6th positions at the moment. Still 3 wide, a little bit further back, including the number 70 car, Philip White, who seems determined to make up some ground. The leads, though, are already up at the top of the hill, up at Rocket, and I think it is still Paul Cook that is leading the way at the moment. We'll get a glimpse of them, I think, in just a minute. In fact, has that changed? If not, it's very close to changing, as the leaders are about to head back down through the corkscrew. I reckon we're watching the rest of the cars just make their way through the background there. And yes, here it is. Here's the lead battle. Paul Cook in the lead then, from Graham Crowhurst in second place as they come through the corkscrew, Josh, and complete lap number 1.
Yeah, Paul Cook has finished second 4 times this year. He'd like to put that right today at Anglesey. He leads the way then as they turn their way through turn 1 there. There's Gruck, dust kicked up. What's happened there between the leaders then as they come out of the bank? It's still the same order. Battle here between Dan Harbour and Jim Benson. That's for 5th position, second within Class 6. On this, the second lap of the race. Bill Redrop there we see going through. He had a big moment through Church on lap 1, had a big slide, but he managed to save it, which was pretty good for him. But there's Harbour and Benson just ahead of him. Mike Nash going well, they're in 7th position, and then this whole group of cars from 8th backwards, including one of the M3s, that's Mark Colmer coming through, started in 10th position in this race. He's got a bit more power, but he has to get on the brakes a bit earlier, it would seem, than the cars around him. But yeah, really busy part of the race circuit, that. And as this race goes on, this might be one of the battles to watch during the course of it. 71 in there as well. That's Jordan Sayward and his BMW Compact with a 6-cylinder engine. The race leaders, 3 of them pretty much together, come through across the line, I can see, to complete 2 laps with Graham Crowhurst still ahead, behind I should say, Paul Cook. And Wayne Lewis doing a really good job here to go with them. He set the fastest lap of the race as Wayne Lewis, so 1 minute 14.9 seconds.
Well, you did mention, didn't you, that there was some dust kicked up by the 2 leaders up at the banking on the second lap. Oh, and Lewis has had a mistake there, I think, coming out of the banking this time, so he might lose a bit of ground to them there. I think he probably has done. He was 1.56 seconds behind the leader at the start of the lap. It's a bit further than that behind now. But yes, it is still Paul Cook from Graham Crowhurst. Paul Cook, who recently sold his MR2 that he's also been racing for several seasons, focusing now on this M3 and focusing at the moment on trying to keep Graham Crowhurst behind him. Only a handful of cars from Class M1 here this weekend, but they're putting on a good show at the moment. The grid dominated by the Class 6 cars, headed by Lee Pearcey, back this weekend after missing the last event. But here come the leaders then on lap 3, down through the corkscrew. Still a bit of smoke from the back of Paul Cook, well, quite a lot of smoke actually from the back of Paul Cook's car, but possibly only at some parts of the circuit under load maybe. And he crosses the line now with Crowhurst behind him. The gap between them only about 0.4 of a second. Lewis is a bit further back now in 3rd position. He's about 3 seconds or so behind him. Cook has done the best lap of the race there, 1:14.89, but Crowhurst lap time was a 1:14.90.
And so was Lewis's, so on his best. So
okay.
The 3 of them, their best lap separated by just 1/100th of a second around this Anglesey coastal circuit, which isn't really something we've seen this year, because Graham Crowhurst has tended to be able to pull away from Paul Cook. He didn't make a very good start, Crowhurst, which didn't help his case in this. But Paul Cook's been able to keep him back for now. That mistake from Lewis a lap ago has dropped him back. Just wondering if Paul Cook's actually raced here before, whether the MR2 Championships visited Anglesey in the years he was contesting.
I would think he probably has done, yes.
So he's had perhaps a bit more experience than Crowhurst. Paul Cook was telling me a month or so ago how much he enjoys racing this BMW M3 and driving it. He says it's a great car to drive as they work their way through the corkscrew. There's Wayne Lewis there in 3rd position. Great livery on that car that he took some wins in the Armed Forces Challenge at Brands Hatch earlier on this season. So they're the 3 M1 cars up front, and they're obviously with more power pulling clear of Class 6 machines behind. Cook run a little wide there, so Crowhurst's opportunity beckons. He looks to the inside of Cook, can't go through. Paul Cook only did 4 laps in qualifying, which makes me wonder whether he had a problem then. And with this smoke emitting the back of the car, it's somewhat worrying, isn't it,
Yes.
at this early stage of the race?
Certainly is. Crowhurst's got a good exit out of Church there. I wonder if he's going to mount an attack as they climb up the hill, up past the school building. He's got the toe, of course, here. Cook places the car on the right-hand side of the circuit, or reasonably close to it. There was almost a gap there for Crowhurst to try and get past, but he couldn't quite make that work out. Ultimately, that was well defended, I think, by Paul Cook. And he continues to get away from, or not get away, but continues to head. Crowhurst, they do get away from Wayne Lewis in 3rd place, though. He's looking ever more distant now, about 5 seconds behind.
As this race goes on, they're going to end up getting through the lap traffic, the other classes, and that's when it's going to get pretty busy. I think that was the case at Silverstone just last month as well. Similar length of track here as they come up across the line to complete 5 laps of the race, lapping in the 75-second bracket here, over the curbs, out of turn 1. Paul Cook, down a gear they go, into the banking, so you should be able to carry perhaps a little bit more speed than what you would do otherwise through there due to the bank nature of it. Then they head up past the wildlife through Church Corner. And this is a really important corner. It's very tricky to get right. We've seen lots of mistakes there over the course of today already because it's such a long, flat-out run now up towards Rocket through the Kinkert School, and then they go down the gears, hard on the brakes. Good overtaking opportunity this, but Paul Cook's able to hang on for now. Crowhurst a bit sideways. This is where he seems to have the advantage on Cook, getting the car turned in to the second part of Rocket, but he can't really find a gap there or into Peel despite being so close to him. These cars have got so much power, you can see they get oversteer as they try and put as much power down as they dare. It's Cook locked up there. No, I think it's just that smoke, isn't it, that we're seeing quite often through the corkscrew. There's not even a BMW length between these two cars, so close they are as they come to end 6 laps of this race.
Yep, so real good scrap going on in Class M1. It's not something we've always seen during the course of this season. Very often the best of the action has come in Class 6. At the moment it's Lee Pearcey leading that 6-cylinder class by about 7 seconds from Dan Harborough in 2nd and Jim Benson a second or so behind him in 3rd place. We're just having a dip down into Class 6 action here, aren't we? Because that is the 23 car for Tom Singleton, and 11th place overall, and behind him is the number 82 car for Saranga or Sarge Sottrihari.
Yeah, that's right. So we thought there'd be plenty of battles going on in Class 6 during the course of this race, and that's absolutely the case. Oh, we've had a spin and very much just avoided contact there. Who was the driver that initiated that spin up at Hill Corner? 70, I think that might have been, which was the car of Philip White, who was running in 17th position. But battles continue. So update on the classes. Class M1 is led by Paul Cook, Class 6 by Lee Pearcey. Class 4, the only entry today is Andrew Pywon. The Cup class is led by Ivor Mears. He's 1.4 seconds ahead of Gareth Thomas. So he got a second in the Porsches earlier, and now he's a class leader in the BMWs. A car here raced a couple of more times again this afternoon in the hot hatches, and then in the second of the 3 BMW Car Club races we've got this weekend. So this battle here, headed by Mike Nash in 7th. Then you've got Andy Wynn in 8th, Bill Reddrop in 9th, Mark Colmer in 10th position. Then that battle behind between Singleton and Sofashari, who Ian mentioned a lap ago. Meanwhile, the leaders are in traffic for the first time.
Yes, they've just cleared a couple of back markers there, so some clear track ahead of them again for the moment. And that's not changed the order, so it is still Paul Cook in number 26 ahead of number 15 Graham Crowhurst in 2nd place as they turn their way through, but Crowhurst gets up alongside here through Rocket 1. He's got his nose in front, but he's got on the wrong line then for Rocket 2, and the next corner at Peel is also a right-hander, but Crowhurst trying to stay alongside, gets his nose in front again. Cook's nose is back in front through Peel. They're going to head to the corkscrew now. Crowhurst's going to be inside line for the first part of the corkscrew, and he's gone through, and I think that's probably just about sealed it because now there's back markers ahead. and they're going to have to fall into line. So a protracted move that by Graham Crowhurst, but he's got into the lead. Paul Cook trying to overlap again. Immediately they're lapping the 14 car of Andrew Pywell. That's the 4-cylinder class car and one of the Cup class cars as well. But it looks like Graham Crowhurst, it's taken him about, well, 2/3 of a lap to do it, but he has gone through just about the halfway mark in this race with 8 laps completed.
Yeah, but the lap traffic's going to continue. So it'll be interesting now that Crowhurst is ahead, whether Cook can fight back. So first mission of this race for Graham Crowhurst has been achieved. He's taken the lead back away from Paul Cook. The next mission he's got really is to get the fastest lap, because every point matters in this championship battle he has against Lee Piercy, and Lee Piercy leads Class 6 and has got the fastest lap in that class. Whoa, big moment there from one of the slower cars, and Paul Cook got caught up in that, I think, and has lost. Well, he's got a corner marker. Where did that come from then? Because that was that perhaps the previous pass through school maybe. But can we get a replay of that? Let's see what happened here to Paul Cook. Oh yeah, so he had to go on the grass,
yes,
didn't he, and took out the corner marker. So great work there by Alpha Life to get the replay up for us nice and quickly. That was a real moment, was it, between he and William Lake, the driver who's won so many Cup class races over the course of this season. He's won 4 of them. But for Paul Cook, that's obviously lost a lot of time to Graham Crowhurst. But both drivers there did a really good job to avoid a collision at what would have been a very high speed moment.
Absolutely right. So the race continues. I think all 22 cars are still circulating by the looks of it, including the one that had a spin earlier on, which was I've lost Sam Walton now. No, he's asking through. It's off the road, and a long way off the road goes Satish Rahari. Just about noses into the barriers there, up there at Rocket.
Yeah, so he's almost ended up a different part of the track, really, hasn't he? That was a big outbreaking moment, and we had a lot of rain around this area yesterday, so the grass will be very wet, won't it? And that's why the car just wouldn't stop once he'd got on the grass. That's the second moment we've seen up there at Rocket now in a couple of laps. Paul Cook lost 7 seconds, by the way, in his one, so he lost a lot of time to Graham Crowhurst. So that's split up the leaders. Cook still with the fastest lap at this stage, but Sofashari would have lost a lot of positions because he was 12th. Graham Crowhurst about to lap Ivan Mares now, who continues to lead the Cup class by 1.4 seconds over Gareth Thomas.
Yes.
So Mares gives him space. The Cup class championship is headed by Gareth Thomas on 106 points, Sam Walton on 79 and Ivan Mares on 74, I think. So for Gareth Thomas, although he leads the championship, he's only won a couple of times this year, so he'd quite like to beat Ivan Mares if he can, because it's been all the way back in April at Croft when Gareth Thomas last won a race, right at the beginning of the season. And across the line we haven't had Paul Cook, because Wayne Lewis is shown in second position on our Alpha Live timing tower. So I wonder if that 7 seconds lost by Cook might have been coming into the pits as well.
Yes, we didn't see the car come into the pits, but that he may well have done on the previous lap, and he could well have pulled out of the race. So Wayne Lewis up to second place, Lee Piercy to third, Dan Harbour fourth, and Jim Benson, the car who was still there, in fifth position.
Lee Piercy isn't as far ahead as he is sometimes, is he, in Class 6? He leads by 6.8 seconds. At Donington Park, he started from the back of the grid and won even then. But here today, he qualified there on the second row of the grid, now runs in third, leading Class 6 by 6 seconds, as we say, over Dan Harborough, and then Jim Benson third. And the 3 of them are a very long way ahead of anybody else. It's Andy Wynne, who is 4th in class now, because he's got himself up ahead of Mike Nash, and then completing the top 5 within Class 6 is Bill Redrop. And Graham Crowhurst has done it now. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He finally had a bit of clear track to do that. 1 minute 14.05, which is a very quick lap, because that's quicker than all but one car we saw in the road sports race earlier for similar sort of power of car. Yeah. So that's very impressive from Crowhurst. As we see Lee Piercy here coming up across the line to complete 11 laps as the Class 6 leader in this race. He set a lap time 1 minute 17.40. The former Formula Ford and motorcycle racer Lee Piercy there in third position. He's competed in 8 races before today in the championship this year, and he's won all 8 of them in Class 6. He's got 112 points. Within the class, second in there is Stephen Schreikart, who I don't think's made the trip to Anglesey. He's on 98, so he's going to lose places. Jim Benson third on 97. Then Clive Watson and Thomas Singleton complete the top 5 within that class today. There's that car that was involved in that incident with Paul Cook, car number 4, which is William Lake, who runs in 17th position, which is third within the Cup class, which continues to be headed by Ivan Mares, now by 1.5 seconds over Gareth Thomas. And there's less than 5 minutes of this race to go. There's Jim Benson, who is 3 seconds behind Dan Harborough at this stage. And they've, I think, got some lap traffic to do themselves shortly as they make their way towards the end of the lap. There's the Class 4 car that's out there. It's a really good-looking car, isn't it? That one of Andy Pywell, who's currently in 19th position in the BMW 318 Ti.
Yes, so he is in 19th place, the only car within Class 4, as he has been for most of the season. There's Jim Benson going through in the number 59 car. He's in 5th position still after the demise of Paul Cook from 2nd place.
It'd be good to see more Class 4 cars out there, because there's obviously a lot of potential there, and would be a good cost-effective way to go BMW racing in a 4-cylinder car. And Pywell's done his car up in Vina livery, so it looks the part as well. Here's Wayne Lewis there in 2nd position, who had that big moment early on when he lost positions. He's lost time. He's currently 23 seconds behind Graham Crowhurst. There's Ivan Mares, who is about to lap the Cup class leader. 2nd in Cup class there, Gareth Thomas, who's won twice, come 2nd twice, and 5 times in 3rd place of the Cup class for Gareth Thomas. He is 3rd position in the championship as well on the overall, behind Graham Crowhurst and Lee Piercy. So he's just been picking up points as the year's gone on, but he's got a bit more points to drop. On drop scores, within the Cup class, he's 17 ahead of Sam Walton and Ivan Mares.
Yes, and he's only 4th overall once some drop scores are taken into account as well. 3 minutes of the race left to go. Crowhurst, number 15, leading by 24 seconds now from number 7, Wayne Lewis, in 2nd place. 61, Lee Piercy is 3rd, 6 seconds ahead of his nearest class rival, number 30, Dan Harborough. 5th, 59, Jim Benson. 6th is 16, which is Andy Wynn. Here is Graham Crowhurst, the driver from Mepham in Kent. He is 34 years of age, a London Underground signal engineer. Only started racing 6 seasons ago. And this his car was bought as a track day car in 2021 after his previous car, I'm afraid, went up in smoke. And then this was built to M1 spec, and this is his 1st season racing it. And he has had, as we've been saying, a lot of success in that car this season. It looks like he's set for some more success today. His 7th win very much on the cards. As we look a little bit further back down the order, we can see the 66 car of Mark Coleman going through, and then 48 Mike Nash, who's running 5th within Class 6 at the moment, with Bill Redrop just behind him and going wide there. I think that's the 23 car of Tom Singleton, the IT supply chain man from Charlton St Giles.
So we're on probably the penultimate lap of the race now for Graham Crowhurst. Here's the battle for 6th position, Andy Wynn versus Mark Coleman. Andy Wynn's having a good race here in 6th position in the BMW E46 330 CI. He's 19th in the championships. Had a best result of 7th so far this year, and is running 6th today. So he'll be pleased with how this has gone as Graham Crowhurst comes up across the line
and gets the last lap board. So it is indeed going to be the final lap of the race for Graham Crowhurst. He is about a 1/3 of a lap clear of Wayne Lewis as things stand.
This battle for 6th position still has 4 cars involved, doesn't it, going on to the last lap? Because you've got Wynn in the 330, you've got Mark Coleman's M3, Mike Nash's 330, and the similar car of Bill Redrop. So that's been a really good race-long battle there for what is 6th position, and 3 of those cars all within Class 6 and battling for what is 4th position within that class.
They are indeed. They're turning their way through Church Corner, we can see from our commentary position. We're watching cars here come over the line, and indeed up towards Rocket in the case of our race leader. Graham Crowhurst is just about to put a lap, I think, on the number 6 car. So that's Sam Walton being lapped for another occasion, I think, in one of the Cup class cars. Turning his way out of Peel then is our race leader, and down towards the corkscrew for the final time. So Graham Crowhurst has dominated proceedings really since he got ahead of Paul Cook a few laps into this race. Paul Cook made a good start but has retired since then. Crowhurst then comes through to take his 7th victory of the season in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship, an important victory and perhaps one that's worth that 9-hour trip up from Kent. He takes victory then, and it's going to be by quite a considerable margin over the car that's in 2nd place. About to come over the line is the battle for 6th, which has changed around then on the last lap, in that Mark Colmer has got his way up in front of Andy Wynne. So it's Mark Colmer in the M1 class car, a more powerful car therefore, that has taken 6th position in the end, from Wynne in 7th, Mike Nash in 8th, Bill Redrop in 9th, and Tom Singleton rounds out the top 10. Graham Crowhurst's nearest rival Wayne Lewis has just crossed the line in 2nd position, 32 seconds behind the winner, and Lee Pearcey has come through as well